Welcome, everyone. Today, we're stepping into one of the most intense and defining chapters of American history, from the first musket shots of the Revolutionary War to the final battles of World War II. This is not just a list of generals and medals. These are stories of ordinary people, farmers, shopkeepers, engineers, sons of immigrants, who, in the darkest moments, became extraordinary. Moments when one decision, one charge, one stand against impossible odds changed the fate of a nation, and sometimes the world. We've selected 15 of the most celebrated, most written out, most filmed American military heroes from 1775 to 1945. Men whose names still echo in classrooms, movies, monuments, and national memory. Some of them led armies of thousands. Others fought alone against entire platoons. Some became presidents. Others returned to quiet farms and never spoke of what they did. But every single one of them, in their own way, carried the future of the United States on their shoulders. So prepare yourself. We begin with the man who could have become a king, but chose to become the father of a republic.
George Washington, 1732 to 1799, Revolutionary War. George Washington is more than the first president of the United States. He is the reason the United States exists as a single, independent nation. Born in 1732 in Virginia to a planter family of modest means, he first gained experience as a surveyor and then as a major in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War. There he survived multiple near-death experiences, including having 2 horses shot out from under him and 4 bullet holes in his coat at the Battle of Monongahela in 1755. When the Revolutionary War broke out in 1775, the Second Continental Congress chose him, unanimously, as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. The choice was bold. He had no formal higher military education like European generals, and the army he inherited was a ragtag collection of farmers, shopkeepers, and volunteers, poorly trained, poorly fed, and poorly supplied. Washington quickly understood that open battles against the professional British redcoats would be suicide, so he adopted a strategy of maneuver, retreat, and surprise. His most iconic moment came on the night of December 25-26, 1776. After months of defeats and retreats, morale was collapsing, enlistments were expiring, and the army was on the verge of disintegration. Washington made a desperate gamble. He crossed the ice-choked Delaware River with 2,400 men in a blizzard and at dawn launched a surprise attack on Hessian mercenaries in Trenton, New Jersey. The victory was total, nearly 900 prisoners, almost no American losses. It revived the revolution when it was closest to death. Then came Princeton a week later, another lightning victory. The terrible winter of 1777-78 at Valley Forge tested everything. Starvation, disease, frostbite killed thousands. Yet Washington refused to abandon his men. He stayed in camp, shared their suffering, brought in Prussian drill master Baron von Steuben to train the troops, and held the army together as a fighting force. The war's climax arrived in 1781 at Yorktown, Virginia. With French naval and ground support, Washington trapped British General Cornwallis. After a 3-week siege, Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781, effectively ending major combat. After victory, Washington did something almost unthinkable. He resigned his commission and returned to Mount Vernon. He could have seized power, become king or dictator. Instead, he walked away, setting the precedent of civilian control over the military. He later served 2 terms as president, 1789 to 1797, and again voluntarily stepped down. Interesting facts: at 6 foot 3 inches, 190 centimeters, he towered over most men of his time. He suffered terrible dental problems. His dentures were made of ivory, gold, lead, and human teeth, never wood, despite the myth. He died in December 1799 from a throat infection. His farewell address, 1796, is still studied today, a warning against political parties, permanent foreign alliances, and the dangers of debt. Legacy: without Washington's endurance, moral authority, and strategic patience, the colonies almost certainly would have lost. He is literally on the dollar bill and Mount Rushmore, the indispensable man of American independence.
John Paul Jones, 1747 to 1792, Revolutionary War, Naval. John Paul Jones, a Scotsman by birth, is remembered as the father of the American Navy. Born John Paul, he added Jones to avoid prosecution after a fatal duel on a merchant ship. He arrived in America in 1774 and immediately offered his services to the Continental Congress.
In 1775, he joined the brand new Continental Navy. He conducted daring raids along the British coast, but his legend was born on September 23, 1779, in the North Sea off Flamborough Head. Commanding the French-owned but American-flagged frigate Bonhomme Richard, named after Benjamin Franklin, he encountered the powerful British frigate HMS Serapis under Captain Richard Pearson. The battle lasted over 4 hours. Bonhomme Richard was set ablaze, taking on water, guns disabled. British officers repeatedly demanded surrender. At one point, when his ship was sinking and defeat seemed certain, Jones shouted his immortal reply, "I have not yet begun to fight." He rammed Serapis, locked the ships together, and led a boarding party. After brutal hand-to-hand fighting, the British struck their colors. Jones captured Serapis while his own ship sank beneath him. It was the first major American naval victory over a British warship, proof that the young republic could challenge the world's greatest sea power on its own element. Awards: Congressional Gold Medal, the only one awarded to a naval officer during the war, Honorary Sword from France. Interesting facts: he was short, about 5'5 inches, but radiated charisma and audacity. After the war, he served as Rear Admiral in the Russian Navy under Catherine the Great. He died in poverty in Paris in 1792 at age 45. His body was lost for 113 years until President Theodore Roosevelt arranged its recovery and reburial with full honors at the U.S. Naval Academy in 1905. His words, "I have not yet begun to fight," remain the unofficial motto of the U.S. Navy. Legacy: Jones proved that courage, audacity, and tactical brilliance could overcome superior firepower. He laid the foundation for American naval tradition.
Nathaniel Greene, 1742 to 1786, Revolutionary War. Nathaniel Greene is often called Washington's greatest general and one of the most underappreciated figures of the Revolution. Born in Rhode Island to a Quaker blacksmith family, he was self-taught in military science, reading every book he could find on tactics, engineering, and strategy. A childhood injury left him with a limp, and he suffered from asthma, yet he became a brigadier general in 1775. After the catastrophic American defeat at Camden in August 1780, one of the worst disasters of the war, Congress sent Greene south to salvage the situation. He inherited a broken army. Few men, no supplies, low morale. Greene decided on a bold strategy of retreat and exhaust. Key victories: Cowpens, January 1781, a masterpiece of tactical deception under Daniel Morgan, but under Greene's overall command. Guilford Courthouse, March 1781. Greene lost the battle, but inflicted such heavy casualties on Cornwallis that the British general was forced to abandon the Carolinas and march north into Virginia, straight into the trap at Yorktown. Greene continued the campaign with Hobkirk's Hill, 96, and Eutaw Springs. By late 1781, the British had lost effective control of Georgia and South Carolina. Interesting facts: after the war, he was financially ruined from personally guaranteeing army supplies. He died at 44 from sunstroke on his plantation in Georgia. Legacy: Greene's strategy of the indirect approach, winning the war by losing battles, is studied in military academies to this day. Without him, the South would have been lost, and with it, the Revolution.
Andrew Jackson, 1767 to 1845, War of 1812. Andrew Jackson, orphan, duelist, future president, became a national hero at the Battle of New Orleans. At age 13, he served as a courier in the Revolutionary War, was captured by the British, and received a saber scar across his face and hand for refusing to clean an officer's boots. In 1814-1815, he was Major General of Tennessee Militia. His crowning achievement came on January 8, 1815, at New Orleans. He assembled a motley force: backwoods riflemen, pirates, Jean Lafitte's men, free blacks, Choctaw warriors, regular soldiers. Facing 8,000 battle-hardened British veterans of the Napoleonic Wars, Jackson built strong earthworks along the Rodriguez Canal and positioned artillery perfectly. When the British attacked in dense columns, American riflemen and cannons tore them apart. British losses exceeded 2,000, including their commander, General Pakenham. American losses were 71. Ironically, the Treaty of Ghent ending the war had already been signed on December 24, 1814. News simply hadn't reached America yet. Awards: Congressional Gold Medal. Interesting facts: Jackson killed a man in a duel in 1806 over an insult to his wife. He later became the 7th U.S. president, 1829 to 1837. Legacy: the victory made him a living legend and propelled him to the White House. It also proved that American citizen soldiers could defeat elite European troops.
Winfield Scott, 1718 to 1866, War of 1812 and Mexican-American War. Winfield Scott, Old Fuss and Feathers, served longer than any other general in U.S. history, 53 years. He earned his nickname for his love of parades, strict discipline, and ornate uniforms. In the War of 1812, he distinguished himself capturing forts. His greatest campaign came in the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. In 1847, Scott led the first large-scale amphibious landing in U.S. history at Veracruz, then marched inland, winning at Cerro Gordo, Contreras, Churubusco, Molino del Rey, and finally storming the fortress of Chapultepec. On September 14, 1847, he entered Mexico City, the first foreign army to capture an enemy capital since the Middle Ages. Awards: Congressional Gold Medal, Brevet Lieutenant General. Interesting facts: he wrote the first American military drill manual. In 1852, he ran for president as the Whig candidate but lost. Legacy: Scott's campaign became the model for modern combined arms operations. Many generals of the Civil War, including Lee and Grant, learned from him.
Zachary Taylor, 1784 to 1850, Mexican-American War. Zachary Taylor, the 12th President of the United States, earned his fame not in the White House, but on the battlefield. Born in Virginia and raised in Kentucky, he joined the Army in 1808 and spent decades fighting Indians and serving on frontier posts. He gained the nickname Old Rough and Ready because he dressed like an ordinary soldier, ate with his men, and never stood on ceremony. His defining campaign came during the Mexican-American War of 1846-1848. In May 1846, he won 2 quick victories along the Rio Grande, Palo Alto and Resaca de la Palma, defeating a larger Mexican force under General Arista. In September, he besieged and captured Monterrey after brutal street fighting. The high point was the Battle of Buena Vista, February 22nd, 23rd, 1847. Taylor had only about 4,700 men, many of them volunteers, against 15,000 Mexican troops led by Santa Anna himself. Despite being outnumbered more than 3 to 1, Taylor used terrain and artillery brilliantly. His gunners and riflemen shredded the Mexican columns. Santa Anna eventually retreated, leaving thousands of dead and wounded behind. Awards: Congressional Gold Medal, Brevet Major General. Interesting facts: Taylor never voted in a presidential election until he ran for office himself in 1848, and he didn't even know which party nominated him at first. He died just 16 months into his presidency in July 1850, officially from acute gastroenteritis, but legend says he ate too many cherries and milk at a 4th of July celebration and got sick. His daughter Sarah married Jefferson Davis, future president of the Confederacy. Legacy: Taylor's victories secured Texas and opened the path for the enormous territorial gains of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, California, New Mexico, Arizona, etc. He proved that American forces could defeat much larger armies through discipline and firepower.
Ulysses S. Grant, 1822 to 1885, Civil War. Ulysses Simpson Grant, Civil War general and 18th president, is the man who saved the Union. Born in Ohio to a tanner's family, he graduated from West Point, fought with distinction in the Mexican War, but resigned in 1854 partly due to struggles with alcohol. He worked on a farm, sold firewood, and clerked in his father's store, one of the lowest points of his life. When the Civil War began in 1861, he re-entered the Army. His first major successes came in February 1862, capture of Forts Henry and Donelson on the Tennessee and Cumberland Rivers, the North's first big wins. Confederate commanders asked for terms. Grant replied, "No terms except unconditional and immediate surrender," earning the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant. At Shiloh, April 1862, his army was nearly overrun on the first day, but he refused to retreat and, reinforced overnight, counterattacked and won. His masterpiece was the Vicksburg Campaign, May to July 1863. After several failed assaults, he besieged the city,
cut off supplies, and on July 4, 1863, forced the surrender of 30,000 Confederates, splitting the Confederacy in two along the Mississippi River. In March 1864, Lincoln promoted him to lieutenant general, first since Washington, and gave him command of all Union armies. Grant launched the relentless overland campaign against Lee. Wilderness, Spotsylvania, Cold Harbor, enormous casualties, over 55,000 Union, but he refused to retreat, bleeding the Confederacy dry. Then came the 9-month siege of Petersburg, June 1864 to April 1865. When he finally broke through, Lee fled, and on April 9, 1865, surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Awards: Congressional Medal of Honor, rare for generals, Lieutenant General. Interesting facts: he smoked up to 20 cigars a day and died of throat cancer in 1885. Knowing he was dying, he raced to finish his memoirs in 4 months. The book became a massive bestseller and saved his family from poverty. Legacy: Grant's refusal to back down and his strategy of continuous pressure ended the war. He preserved the Union and helped end slavery. His memoirs are still considered among the finest military autobiographies ever written.
Robert E. Lee, 1807 to 1870, Civil War, Confederacy. Robert Edward Lee, commander of the Army of Northern Virginia, is perhaps the most admired and debated general in American history. Son of Revolutionary War hero Light Horse Harry Lee, he graduated from West Point without a single demerit, served as an engineer, and won praise in the Mexican War. When Virginia seceded in April 1861, President Lincoln offered him command of the Union Army. Lee refused, saying he could not raise his hand against his home state. He resigned from the U.S. Army and took command of Confederate forces in June 1862. His string of victories stunned the North. The 7 Days battles, June to July 1862, drove McClellan away from Richmond. Second Manassas, August 1862, crushed Pope. Antietam, September 1862, stopped the first invasion of the North. Chancellorsville, May 1863, his greatest victory, defeated Hooker's army twice his size, though he lost Stonewall Jackson. Gettysburg, July 1st to 3rd, 1863, was his fatal mistake. The failed Pickett's charge on Day 3 marked the high watermark of the Confederacy. After that, he fought defensively until Appomattox. Awards: none formal, Confederacy, but revered status. Interesting facts: Lee was deeply religious and personally opposed slavery, yet believed it was a divine institution to be ended by God, not man. After the war, he became president of Washington College, now Washington and Lee University, and urged reconciliation. He died of a heart attack in 1870. Legacy: Lee's tactical brilliance nearly won the war for the South. He remains a symbol of the lost cause, admired for honor and skill, criticized for fighting to preserve slavery.
William Tecumseh Sherman, 1820 to 1891, Civil War. William Tecumseh Sherman, Uncle Billy to his troops, was one of the most ruthless and effective generals of the Civil War. A West Point graduate, he served in California during the Gold Rush. In 1861, he suffered a nervous breakdown but recovered and became one of Grant's most trusted lieutenants. Key achievements: Shiloh, 1862, helped save the day. Capture of Atlanta, September 2, 1864, a devastating blow to Confederate morale and a decisive factor in Lincoln's re-election. Then came the famous March to the Sea, November-December 1864. 60,000 men cut a 60-mile-wide swath through Georgia, destroying railroads, factories, cotton gins, and supplies, a deliberate campaign of economic and psychological warfare. He captured Savannah on December 21st and telegraphed Lincoln, "I beg to present you as a Christmas gift the city of Savannah." Awards: Congressional Medal of Honor. Interesting facts: Sherman suffered from depression and once considered suicide. His most famous quote: "War is hell." After the war, he became commanding general of the U.S. Army. Legacy: Sherman pioneered total war, targeting civilian infrastructure to break the enemy's will. His march shortened the war and became a model for 20th century scorched earth campaigns. Alvin York, 1887-1964, World War I. Alvin Cullum York,
a humble Tennessee farmer and devout Christian pacifist, became the most famous American hero of World War I. Raised in poverty, he initially applied for conscientious objector status but was denied and eventually accepted the draft. His legendary action occurred on October 8, 1918, in the Argonne Forest, France. During an attack, his platoon was pinned down by 35 German machine guns. Most of his comrades were killed or wounded. York, acting alone, crept forward, picked off German gunners one by one, killing 25, then charged with his pistol when 6 Germans rushed him with bayonets, killing all 6 in rapid fire. He then forced 132 German soldiers to surrender and captured 35 machine guns. Awards, Medal of Honor, French Croix de Guerre, and many others. Interesting facts: after the war, he refused huge Hollywood offers and returned to his farm. The 1941 film Sergeant York, starring Gary Cooper, was based on his life. He used prize money to build schools and churches for poor children in Tennessee. Legacy: York became the symbol of the American citizen soldier, a simple man who, when pushed, could single-handedly turn the tide of battle.
Douglas MacArthur, 1880 to 1964, World War I and World War II. Douglas MacArthur, one of the most famous, controversial, and theatrical American generals of the 20th century. Son of Civil War and Indian Wars Medal of Honor recipient Arthur MacArthur, he graduated first in his West Point class in 1903. In World War I, he commanded the 42nd Rainbow Division in France, earning multiple wounds and decorations at Saint-Mihiel and Meuse-Argonne. He personally led assaults under fire, often with his famous corncob pipe and open-necked shirt, already building his larger-than-life image. In World War II, he was Supreme Commander of Allied forces in the Southwest Pacific. After Pearl Harbor and the rapid fall of the Philippines in early 1942, he was ordered to evacuate Corregidor. As he left by PT boat, he uttered his immortal promise, "I shall return." He kept that promise. In October 1944, he waded ashore on Leyte in the Philippines, cameras rolling, and declared, "People of the Philippines, I have returned." His forces liberated Manila in brutal house-to-house fighting in early 1945. After Japan's surrender on September 2, 1945, MacArthur accepted the formal capitulation aboard the USS Missouri and became Supreme Commander for the Allied powers in occupied Japan, overseeing the remarkable transformation of Japan into a democratic, peaceful nation. Awards, Medal of Honor for the Philippines' defense, plus dozens of other decorations from multiple countries. Interesting facts: MacArthur cultivated a distinctive personal brand: the crushed cap, aviator sunglasses, pipe. He was dismissed by President Truman in 1951 during the Korean War for insubordination after publicly criticizing policy. He lived until 1964, dying at age 84. Legacy: MacArthur is remembered as the architect of victory in the Pacific and the rebuilder of post-war Japan. His larger-than-life personality made him a symbol of American resolve and sometimes arrogance.
George S. Patton, 1985 to 1945, World War II. George Smith Patton Jr., Old Blood and Guts, was the most aggressive, colorful, and controversial American general of World War II. A West Point graduate, class of 1909, he competed in the 1912 Olympics in the modern pentathlon and was an early advocate of tanks. In World War II, he first shone in North Africa, 1943, taking command after the humiliating American defeat at Kasserine Pass and turning the U.S. Second Corps into a disciplined fighting force. In Sicily, July-August 1943, his 7th Army raced across the island, capturing Palermo and Messina ahead of Montgomery's British forces. After a controversial incident where he slapped shell-shocked soldiers, which nearly ended his career, he was sidelined until June 1944. Then came his masterpiece. Commanding 3rd Army after D-Day, he broke out of Normandy, swept across France in one of the fastest armored advances in history, 600 miles in a month, and relieved Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944 by pivoting 90 degrees in freezing weather and smashing through German lines. Awards: Distinguished Service Cross twice, Silver Star twice, Bronze Star, Purple Heart. Interesting facts: Patton believed in reincarnation.
He claimed to remember past lives as a Roman legionary, Napoleonic cavalryman, etc. He was famous for his profanity-laced motivational speeches. The Patton speech in the 1970 film is based on real ones. He died in December 1945 from injuries in a low-speed car accident in Germany just months after victory. The 1970 film Patton, starring George C. Scott, won 7 Oscars and immortalized him. Legacy? Patton's speed, audacity, and relentless drive saved countless lives and shortened the European War. He remains the archetype of the aggressive American tank commander.
Audie Murphy, 1925-1971, World War II. Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier of World War II, was a Texas farm boy who lied about his age to enlist at 17. Standing only 5 feet 5 inches and weighing 110 pounds, he looked more like a teenager than a soldier, but he became a legend. His most famous action occurred on January 26, 1945, near Holzwihr, France. His company was attacked by 6 German tanks and waves of infantry. Most of his men retreated or were killed. Murphy climbed onto a burning tank destroyer, manned its .50 caliber machine gun, and single-handedly held off the assault for nearly an hour, killing or wounding dozens of Germans, stopping multiple tanks with artillery calls, and refusing evacuation despite being wounded in the leg. He then led a counterattack that drove the Germans back. Awards: Medal of Honor, Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 2 Bronze Stars, 3 Purple Hearts, plus French and Belgian decorations, 33 awards total. Interesting facts: after the war, he suffered severe PTSD, then called battle fatigue, and became an advocate for veterans' mental health. He acted in 44 films, including the autobiographical To Hell and Back, 1955, which was Universal's highest-grossing film until Jaws. He died in a plane crash in 1971 at age 45. Legacy: Murphy proved that heroism isn't about size or background, it's about courage under fire. He remains the symbol of the ordinary soldier who rises to do the extraordinary.
Jimmy Doolittle, 1916-1993, World War II. James Harold Jimmy Doolittle was already a legend in aviation before the war, the first pilot to fly blind, using instruments only, and set numerous speed records. A Berkeley PhD in aeronautics, he was a racing pilot and military officer. His defining moment came on April 18, 1942, the Doolittle Raid. 16 B-25 Mitchell bombers launched from the carrier USS Hornet, the first time land-based bombers took off from a carrier deck. They flew 650 miles over open ocean to bomb military and industrial targets in Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, Kobe, and Yokosuka, the first air attack on the Japanese mainland since Pearl Harbor. The raid caused little physical damage but massive psychological shock. Japan was no longer untouchable. Most crews ditched in China or crash-landed. Doolittle and many survived. Awards: Medal of Honor, presented by FDR himself. Interesting facts: the raid was planned by Doolittle and approved by FDR and Arnold. He lived to 96, dying in 1993, the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from World War II. Legacy: the raid lifted American morale after months of defeat and forced Japan to divert resources to homeland defense. It proved U.S. resolve and ingenuity. Felix Sparks, 1917 to 2007, World War II. Felix Lawrence Sparks, a Colorado lawyer turned soldier, commanded elements of the 45th Infantry Division through some of the war's toughest fighting. He fought in Sicily, 1943, the brutal Italian campaign, Anzio Beachhead, Monte Cassino, southern France, and into Germany. His battalion endured horrific losses, at one point reduced to 17 men. His most famous moment came on April 29, 1945. Sparks and his men liberated Dachau concentration camp. They stormed the gates, killed SS guards who resisted, and freed thousands of emaciated prisoners. Sparks personally stopped his men from executing surrendering guards to prevent a massacre. After the war, he returned to Colorado, became a lawyer, district attorney, and justice of the Colorado Supreme Court. He lived to 90,
dying in 2007. Interesting facts, he gave one of the most moving speeches at the 50th anniversary of Dachau's liberation. His story is told in the book The Liberators by Michael Hirsch. Legacy. Sparks represents the moral side of victory, fighting evil not just with weapons, but with humanity. His actions at Dachau helped expose the Holocaust to the world.
And so we reach the end of our journey through 15 lives that helped forge and save the United States. From Washington crossing an icy river on Christmas night to Murphy standing alone on a burning tank destroyer. From Jones refusing to surrender as his ship sank to MacArthur wading ashore with the words, "I have returned." From Patton racing across France to Sparks opening the gates of Dachau. These men, in their moments of greatest trial, defined what it means to be an American hero. They weren't perfect. Some were stubborn, some broken by war, some controversial. But when the moment came, they did not run. They did not quit. They stood. They fought. They won. Today we live in a country they helped build, defend, and preserve. A nation born in revolution, tested in civil war, and hardened by global conflict. Every time we see the Stars and Stripes, hear the national anthem, or simply enjoy the freedoms they paid for with blood, sweat, and sometimes their lives, we stand on their shoulders. Their stories remind us that heroism isn't reserved for the tall, the rich, the educated, or the powerful. It can come from a Virginia planter, a Scottish immigrant sailor, a Tennessee farmer, a small Texas boy, or a Colorado lawyer. Heroism is born when someone says, "I have not yet begun to fight." When someone says, "I shall return." When someone simply refuses to back down. Thank you for joining me on this journey through American valor. If any of these names moved you, if you want to dive deeper into one of them, learn about forgotten heroes, or explore how their legacies shape today, let me know. We'll keep telling these stories. Because history isn't just dates and battles. It's people. People who, in the darkest hours, found the light to carry us forward. Until next time, thank you, and God bless America.